welcome to Nerdvana. I'm your host, Dustin Drew.
And I'm your other host, Lindsay Schwalm. This last weekend, we actually had a incredibly interesting time at the Michigan Renaissance Festival in Holly, Michigan.
Yeah, it was really, really great, and if you don't know what a Renaissance Festival is, one, you're living under a rock, and two, basically all it is just simpler times in the Middle Ages. That's really what it is for the most part.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a complete recreation of an actual medieval village from the 1500s. I think, as far as I know, it's supposed to be an English village, and it is filled with food, as you guys have seen. All sorts of different medieval-themed foods. There are shops. All the shops are run by artisans that make their own crafts, like leatherworking. We saw weapons like swords, handmade swords, handmade armor, all kinds of stuff that's medieval themed. And people are dressed up too, as you may or may not have seen in our introduction. There are many people cosplaying and dressed up in medieval garb. So one of the first things actually that we checked out when we got to the Ren Fair was a glass blowing demonstration.
And that was actually really, really interesting to see because I never would have thought glass would be that difficult to make. But just go ahead and check it out for yourself.
Alright, so now she's getting it nice and warm. She's going to bring it on over. It's going to be all floppy hot. It's going to be flopping all over the place. She's going to bring it on over. They're going to dab it on there, stretch it up, cut it, and then they'll flip it around. And hopefully they'll have a beautiful handle. Floppy hot. There we go. Drop it on, smash, lift, cut, spin. And Becca's blowing a bubble. Everyone clap for Becca. Are you happy? Alright, so now he's spinning that around. What that's doing is it's using centrifugal force to stretch that handle out a little bit more. And now they're going to do a runner bit. So I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do with the runner bit. But this one is a blue dragon black runner bit. The one on mine, it kind of adds a nice little massaging kind of bumps to the back of your handle. Alright, so it's using that graphite rod to create a thumb saddle. Basically the same kind of style as this one. There's a nice little thumb bit you press in there.
One of the main attractions, however, at the Renaissance Festival was the Joust.
Yeah. And this was actually really, really cool to see. Like, some of the choreography that they did for, like, their fighting and stuff was really, really cool to see. And then there were others that were just kind of like, okay, I can tell this is fake. But it really, really was something, like, that was absolutely interesting to see.
For the most part, it was pretty convincing. It was real horses, real guys on horses, jousting with, full armor and lances and shields. It was very, it was definitely really interesting. It was a huge crowd.
Oh, yeah.
So it was kind of like the atmosphere of an actual joust because we had people chanting for their favorite knights. The king and queen were watching the joust happen. And we have some really interesting footage that we captured of the joust. The knights had to compete in a ring toss to decide which knight would joust against which knight.
Yeah.
And then they jousted, and then they actually had on-foot combat, which was my favorite to watch.
Yeah, it was really, really cool to see.
Then at some point, everything just went to hell at some point, and most people ended up dead.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Luckily, Elliot wasn't there to, to see the horses because, he's very, horse rights and all that other crap. Yeah, so luckily he wasn't there.
Well, speaking of Elliot, what was Elliot doing while we were at the Renaissance Fest? Because, we were there all day, and I didn't see a great deal of Elliot.
I could have sworn that we left him at home. Wait a second. Wait. Those are my clothes. Lindsay, what? When did that?
So he was there.
What?
Elliot was there, obviously. But yeah, those are your clothes. So
Lindsay, wait. No, this isn't. Oh.
Okay. What's the last thing that you remember while we were out shooting?
Okay, well, from what I remember, I was eating a turkey leg. I watched some dude blow glass, and then I ended up in. Is that a warrant for my arrest? What the? What?
Time traveling?
What? Uh, okay, so okay, I remember. No, I remember going to jail. Oh my god.
Do we have any footage of that? I feel like we must have covered it. Let's see what we can find.
You videotaped me being arrested?
Of course.
Good enough for me. Let go of my rope. Okay? Get down like this. All right. Lower. Those are tight pants. Don't put your pants. Now, put your flappers out. No, not like this. See how I'm doing it? Yeah. Now start flapping them. Okay. Now waddle across and quack like a duck. Quack! 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 Duck is getting taller and taller. Quack!
All right.
All right, good.
Successfully crossed the bridge of shame.
Yay.
You now receive the stamp of doom.
Joy.
Have you entered the cage of misery? Welcome to the cage of misery.
Justin with the G, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Do I get something to make noise with?
No. I
Darn.
have to stand here all day long.
This is just boring.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need your key so we can drive back.
Alright, yeah. Here,
Now,
you know,
here's the good news.
I gave a lot of milk. Oh, I'm proud to be a cow. Oh, proud to be a cow. My eyes are dark and dreamy. My eyes are dark and dreamy. My butter's rich and creamy. My butter's rich and creamy. Oh, I'm proud to be a cow. Oh, I'm proud to be a cow.
oh my gosh.
Wow.
Why would you guys... You...
I didn't know what would happen.
I mean, you could have... I just... Okay.
Maybe could I feel like Elliot had a hand or a hoof in this. I mean, maybe his
yeah.
exploits ended up landing you.
That wouldn't surprise me in the least bit.
Yeah.
Just, oh my freaking god.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Moving on. I know it's not going to help you forget the pain of
No.
what you went through, but we actually got an excellent interview with one of the Michigan Renaissance Festival's longtime volunteers. Because everybody at the Ren Fair works on a volunteer basis. I think beyond the food vendors, they're working very long hours for not a great deal of pay. Everyone, you have to audition. There's an audition process to be involved in this event at all. And the lady that we're about to talk to has been involved, I believe, for over 30 years and actually helped teach newcomers on the ways of the Renaissance Fair. So let's take a look at that, shall we?
Yeah. It's actually really heartwarming.
Actually ask you your out-of-character name, if that's
Yes.
all right.
My real name is Lisa Marie Gabriel.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. Nice to also meet you. Could you tell us about how you got involved with this particular Run Fest? Is this the only one that you perform at? Or you
Now
involved
it
with?
is. Yes. Now, I actually started working at the Michigan Renaissance Festival before you were even born. I started in 1982. I was a college student, and the man who got me started here was actually on the Planning and Development Committee for this new idea for the Michigan Renaissance Festival. And he was part of that group of people who came up with this. And he came to me one day. He was my mentor in college, and he said, this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of the summer and the beginning of fall. And I said, no, I'm a student, and I'm going to sit at home and do nothing for the summer. And he looked at me and he said, that is not a request. You will be doing this. And I learned a long time ago, never say no. So I did, and here I am 33 years later. So yeah, that's how it all began.
What do you most enjoy about doing it? Or, I mean, is there anything, what does it bring to you? Personally, what do you enjoy the most about performing here?
Being in this atmosphere just allows you to be whoever you want. Do whatever you want within reason.
Right.
You can set aside all of your day-to-day issues. They're gone when you walk in here. You can have fun, you make family. We're all family here. We have a cast of over 100, and
Wow.
anyone would do anything for anybody. And it's just another home. It's a home away from home.
I actually have a question.
Yeah, please.
My one question would be, what is the most fond memory you have here?
Well, they're actually, every cast member has at least one story that they can tell, something that they will never forget. And my story is about a small child that I encountered with a family. The child was in a wheelchair, and I approached the family and I asked them, is it okay? And they said the child is deaf and blind and a mute. And I said, well, how can I communicate with this child? And they said, just let him touch you. So the parent took his hands and put them on my face, and he felt me, and he felt my clothes, and he felt all the things that were hanging from me, and he laughed. And the parents burst into tears, and they were like, oh, I'm welling just thinking about it. They were like, this is the first time we've heard him laugh in years. So, yeah, you never forget those.
I want to cry right now.
I know, I'm all welling.
Like, geez.
Yes, these are things that happen. You'll hear stories from every cast member of something that has happened. There was one cast member that we had who he interacted with some young people, college-aged people, and he had a regular job outside of festival. And like year later, he was at his regular job. He was, selling something. I don't know what his regular job was, but he said someone approached him and said, you used to work at the Renaissance Festival. And he said, yeah, actually, I still do. And they said, I saw you at the Renaissance Festival and you talked to me. And he said, I'm sure I probably did. And he said, I want you to know that day I had decided that I was going to go home and commit suicide. And from the interaction that I had with you, I chose not to. So it's amazing the impact that something like this can have on other people's lives.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes a difference.
Well, leading from that, I guess maybe one of my final questions for you is, how do you get involved? If you want to get involved in any capacity at all, I mean, even if you're just a college student right now, I mean, how would you get involved?
We have auditions that we start. This year they're actually talking about starting them a little bit earlier in November, which I don't know if that's actually going to happen because we don't open until August.
Yeah.
So usually we started, I know this past year we started auditioning in February. They do advertise on TV and in the newspaper and on the radio when the auditions are going to be. You can always call the office, find out when the auditions are. The auditions are great fun. There's a lot of improv, a lot of interaction.
Is it pretty
a lot
low
of
pressure?
games.
I mean, just in case someone was
Very
worried.
low pressure.
Okay.
You don't need to have anything memorized. You just have to be willing to play.
Yeah.
That's what we do here. We play.
Right.
And anyone can come and audition, whether you have experience or not. We have people who, one year a young man came in to one of the auditions. We dragged him in, we auditioned him. You're going to be a pirate. And I found out a couple of weeks later when he started rehearsals, he thought he was coming here to apply for a job to pick up garbage. Oh, no. And we cast him as a pirate.
I bet that made him happy.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very low pressure and it's a lot of fun. It's hard work.
Yeah.
We're out here from 8 o'clock in the morning because we have to be here by 9 o'clock for the morning meeting. And then right after that, we go into the opening ceremonies. Gates open at 10. We usually don't get out of here till about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Wow.
It's a very long day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're thinking you're going to get rich working at a Renaissance festival, you're wrong. But just the rewards that you get from being here and meeting all these people and just the interaction that you get with the guests, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. And I mean, is there anything else that you'd want to say? I mean, just say to we have an audience of college students. A lot of them are very young. So is there anything at all that you might want to say to them?
One of the things that I tell the cast when I teach the improv classes and the characterization classes, and the one phrase that I teach them at the very beginning is kind of a silly phrase. It's dare to suck. And it means simply be willing to step outside your box.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to try something, try it. If something you see, you think, maybe I could do that. No, maybe. Just do it. Try it. And give it a chance. And if you suck, try it again. The next time you might not suck. So, yeah, that's really about it. You know, you should step outside your box and experience the world. I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. I'm older than most of you now. Have fun with your life. I haven't stopped having fun yet.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
You have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this particular episode. We will catch you perhaps later. This has been Nerdvana. I'm your host, Dustin Drew.
I'm your other host, Lindsay Schwalm. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you soon. Have a good week.
Adios.